Well, in addition to losing out on MoneyGram, China's Cyberspace Administration recently reprimanded Ant Financial for sharing customer data with a third party. Still, the company continues to push its global expansion. That's why Mark New sat down with Geoff Jiang, the Vice President and Head of Ant Technologies Lab, to discuss the company's vision for transforming the financial sector.
So in the financial service area, we are very diligently working on all kinds of technology, right, to make the service better, with a better user experience, and also more inclusive, and to like every average Joe on the street.
Tell me what that means, though, being inclusive.
Yeah. Even in China today, lots of people probably even do not have a bank account, right? So in a certain degree, basically, they are not enjoying the same kind of financial service, maybe as a very decent guy in the city. So we want to bring all kinds of this financial service, which you can include everybody in. Think about our payment today, right? So people can just have the phone, no matter where you go, and you are able to make the transactions, even you do not have a credit card.
Give me an idea how many transactions and Ant Financial and Alipay are making per day or per week.
You see, like we just had we call it Double 11, right? So like just a couple of months ago, right? Basically, it's November 11th, right? On that single day, you see like sometimes we see the peak kind of transaction is 250,000 transactions per second, right? So that's a huge amount of the transactions. And as we discussed earlier, right, we put so much like efforts on the risk control for our customers, right? So with all kind of new technology, with AI-based technologies on this risk control kind of platform, we are really able to cut the fraud rate down to among 1 million. And I think it's much, much lower than any kind of credit company.
The Cyber Administration of China recently reprimanded Ant Financial for sharing customer data with a third party. It was actually a credit scoring system called Sesame Credit. As you collect more and more data, how can you guarantee the safety of that data?
Yeah, so I think for any kind of payment and a financial service company, right, security is always a top priority, right? So, and you mentioned early kind of examples, right? So that was a mistake. And we already apologized for that. But the company itself has a very strong kind of concern about the user's privacy and also the security, right? So we have a chief data privacy officer and very much in the position to look into all the dimensions, right? And also like we put a lot of R&D kind of investment on the security. And across the different kind of divisions, we also have these rules about how to share the data and what cannot be shared, and across different functions, right? So from that perspective, I think like the company really put a lot of efforts and to make all these rules effective and deployed and enforced.
Ant Financial was going to buy MoneyGram for $1.2 billion, and it was blocked almost the third time. But I'm curious if you think that will be a stumbling block to your international plans.
I think at this moment, like our approach is really going to serve the Chinese tourists, right, in the US for now, right? So we are not serving even the US customer at this point, right? So, but if you think about outside of China, especially if you think about Southeast Asia, we have made a lot of efforts, for the globalization, and we work with a lot of partners, local partners, right, eventually to expand the business. And for example, like in India, and the CGTN is already a very large size company now, which is doing very well in the payment business, right? But they are one of our partners, right? So like, so we try to work with all these local partners. And even in the United States in the long term, right? So eventually do the business well.
You're one of the heads of innovation. Yeah. What technology are you working on now that is really exciting for the future?
We have some kind of product called Smart Pay, and you can walk into KFC and you can buy a chicken sandwich, right, with your face recognition, right? So we also have recently just opened a physical store in Hangzhou, right? You can walk in, grab something you want to buy, and just walk out. And all the payment is already done automatically. Also, for example, for some of the financial service, we have some of the product called like a Yuebao, right? So there's so many people actually are using it for wealth management. Right? That's unbelievable. If you older days, you probably have to put 1 million in a bank account. So maybe in a traditional bank, they will take care of you and do all kind of service, right? But today, even probably with like, just one Chinese RMB, all right, so that means almost 15 cents US dollars, right? You can get a similar wealth management service.
Is that wealth management being managed by a person or AI?
Yeah, most cases by our computers, right? By computers.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, but by the data, by the the algorithms, and by our computer system, right? So that's exactly kind of the power of the technology.